Hi everybody, it's David Fleming here from the Toronto Realty Group, and welcome to this week's Pick 5. Now it is that time of year again, folks. You know what I'm talking about. No, it has nothing to do with real estate. It's time to go to the farms. Yeah, not for everyone, because not everyone's a 43-year-old father of 2 children. But for those that are, you know what I'm talking about. You've got Brooks Farm, is very nice. Then, completely opposite direction, how about Downey Farm? Yeah, and then what's that other one called? And it is so far, oh yeah, Pengels. So it is time to do apple picking, and then it will be time to do pumpkin picking. We've got hay rides, we've got corn mazes. Oh my God. Yeah, that was my Saturday. I don't have any photos to share, but it was interesting to get there. And the other 2 dads are there. And the one dad, I'm like, hey man, you look a little rough for wear. What were you out last night? Joking. And he's like, yeah, I was in Ossington. I was like, you went to Ossington? You're older than I am. And he said, yeah, I know. I feel like I've passed that line. You know, I'm 44. And then he said the most amazing thing. He said he could tell he was too old, not by the other people that were in there, but by how the wait staff was treating him. He said they were like really respectful and calling him sir. And that's how he knew he didn't belong. He also said that he was dressing sharp, he's wearing a blazer, and he said all the young millennials, they're wearing ponchos. I don't even know what that's about. Then the other dad shows up, and this guy looks at me, he goes, yeah man, I was out like all night, man. I was like, where were you? He goes, you know, fucking this place, that place. And I said, what places? And he goes, you know, man, like wherever. And I said, hold on a second. You were at this place or that place till 4 a.m.? Sounds very fishy to me. Wouldn't even divulge. Wouldn't say where he was. He's like, you know, like wherever, man. I was like, I don't know, because you were out till 4. The other dad was out till 2. You were at this place and that place. The other guy was out at Ossington. Was I the only one at home drinking a warm glass of milk and underlining passages in my Bible? That's a joke. So too is this market that we're in. Interesting segue. Guys, it's a weird one. There is so much inventory. Do you want to hear more about the farm? You don't, okay? There's so much inventory out there, honestly, and it is crazy to see how things changed like that. I could have done that. My colleague, my extremely handsome colleague, Richard Mancott, let's get a photo of him. Can we put up Richard like when I got into the business? Oh, wow. Yes, Richard was telling me, he's got a saying, when it changes, it happens overnight. And what we saw coming into the fall was that we thought, oh, it's going to be a typical fall. There's no inventory, and we're just fighting tooth and nail. Massive, massive amount of inventory. The market does not know how to process this. So it's amazing, because the buyers that are out there and they're ready and they're hungry, there's so much choice, right? The paradox of choice. They do not know what to do. They're, paralysis analysis. They are literally paralyzed by the amount of choice they have out there. So this market is just, I said it's a joke, because it's like right when you think you've got it figured out, right? It does something completely different. And we have this massive influx of inventory. There are some areas where, I take, what did I say? The example was, $3 million house in Leaside. In the spring, you get maybe 1 a month. And then there's 8 listed in the first week of this fall market alone. So guys, what I wanted to do today has actually nothing to do with that. I wanted to talk about Laneway houses. Why? I don't know, but this was in the queue for last week, decided to go a different direction. Now I'm pivoting back. Laneway houses are funny to me because, let me just go to my screen here. Okay, Veronica, can we put this up? See this? Can Laneway housing help solve the housing crunch? Back on me. No, it can't, because even if you built, I don't know, 50 of them, that's gonna help 50 people. We are millions and millions of units short in this country. There's probably a 1 million unit shortage in this city, if there won't be in a few years. And you get things like that. Can it help solve the housing crunch? Abso-freaking-lutely not. Then you get one like this. Toronto Life. This couple built a $550,000 Laneway house as a place to retire. In the meantime, they're renting out for $3,200 a month. And then you've got these two. Now, first of all, gosh, we all have dreams about where to retire to. Some people want to retire in the mountains or South America or, I don't know, Florida. These people want to retire in a Laneway house. Hey, good for them. People of simple means. But, $550,000 in a Laneway house. And here's the rub. You're not financing that. So I've always thought the laneway house thing is ridiculous, and apologies to anybody that has, like one of my very good clients, and I won't get too much into their situation, but they built a laneway house before laneway houses were a thing, right? And they were ready to finish it off, and then, situation changed. But like, they're very smart. They did it. It wasn't $550,000. I won't get into their personal circumstances, but like, they have the money to do it. The issue with the laneway houses, I've always felt, is that people do not have that amount of money. So whether my clients paid 200 grand or whether these guys paid 550, most people don't have that ability to just throw $500,000 in cash. So what does it cost to build a house? You want to build a house for $550,000? You better have approximately $550,000 in cash sitting in a duffel bag, because the banks won't finance it. So if you want to buy $1 million house, you only need $200,000. You want to build $1 million laneway house, you need $1 million. So that was another rub. Another article here, Veronica. Okay, see this? Interest in backyard homes grows amid soaring real estate costs and a shortage of housing. Okay, great. One person's going to build a laneway house. One person, a shortage of housing. We're building this many. And then my favorite article, garden suites in Toronto get slow uptake with none completed 1 year after program launch. That many. That's like a window into my life. So having said that, let's look at houses that are on the market. Let's look at laneway houses that have been built. I'm literally lost here trying to find this. That's what happens when you get to this age. Do you want to hear a funny story? No. Chris came over here this morning and I started telling him about a conversation I had with the real estate agent, and he was nodding along, and I had this eerie feeling. I said, did I tell you this already? He said, yes. I said, like, recently? He said 10 minutes ago. I stood right here and you told me. The short-term memory, guys, it's really going. What were we talking about? So 5 houses we're going to look at today, guys, and let's just get right to it. We're going to start here with 325 Perth. So where is this? It's a good idea. I like asking questions and then answering them. It's in the West End. It's north of Bloor. It's sort of in that junction-ish area, right? And I've done this a million times. This, to me, is the junction up here. And then you get the junction triangle. Really? It's kind of shaped like a polygon, if you ask me. So this is a house with a laneway house. I will show you actual laneway houses, but of course laneway houses aren't standalone. Some of them are. You can sever a piece of land off of your existing lot, build a laneway house, and sell it. But for the most part, what we're going to see are properties that contain 2 dwellings, 2 structures, if you will, and this is exactly one of those. So let me show you the floor plan, because I'm thinking, how are we going to do this? You're going to see a floor plan, right? Here we've got a lower level, a main floor, and a second level. And then we have this, a laneway apartment, 301 square feet. So do you even want to see the house, or should I just take you to the laneway, right? It's a semi. It's 18 by 125, 3-bed plus 1, which is probably the laneway bedroom, 5 bath, one of them in the laneway house, and then 1 plus 1, of course, being that laneway. Actually, I think they have a lower, yeah, okay, check this out. So here they've got a basement apartment, rec, bedroom, living in the lower. So it's essentially what, 3 units? Not bad, 3 units on 1 lot. So inside, pretty typical, right, of a house of this vintage. This is original here, this banister, right? The floor is new, but it's a bit of a mix and match. Looks really, really nice. Is this Maggie's listing? Yes, I think so. Okay. So very nice staging. Oh, the staging hat. We had a property lately with a staging hat, I think on Springdale. So under what would have been the original staircase, since you've got a basement unit, you can close that up, and now you can repurpose that space as a bathroom. Very nice. Great staging. And then you've got probably an extension off the original footprint, because we have a little family room at the back. Oh, there's the new staircase going downstairs. So that could have been outside the original structure when this house was built. So it's pretty sharp. I like this a lot. It is weird to see the couch and you're staring at the TV over top of the railing, but so be it. So I wonder if downstairs, is it direct access to that unit? Maybe in-law suite. We're upstairs now. I'm still going to think aloud. Or maybe it's a shared laundry situation, right? So you can see all these garages, right? There's the laneway house itself, but all these garages qualify for a laneway suite, for a laneway apartment, for a secondary dwelling, for a garden suite, as they're called. And the question is, do you have $500,000 in cash to build it? So you're in a little backyard, right? We got our patio, we got our yards, probably garbage cans in here. There's a lockbox to access this because it's for sale. But what you're doing is putting someone in your backyard. Someone's living back there. And you have a car underneath, right? Here's a bathroom, it's pretty nice. So a lot of these, it's sort of like it was a garage. We'll park on the main floor and then we'll build a laneway suite up top. Some people are saying, hey, I can park on the street. I'm gonna build a 2-story laneway house. I think you decrease the value there because now you don't have a parking space. So So this is the basement apartment, right? This was the staircase coming from upstairs. So what is the setup here? Interesting. Well, yeah, kitchenette. Okay, so they left the door open, let's say, to having that as a completely separate dwelling. Now let's get in the laneway suite. This is exactly what we wanted to do while we're not talking about apple picking at Pingles. I am going apple picking on the 9th with Warren and Sandra and their 3 children. 3 kids, man. I'll tell you, you deserve an award for that. What did my dad used to say? 2 is great, but 3 is like 6. So this is their dining room. Check this out. It's very smart design. Pop this table up in your dining, put it back down and you're not. But this is essentially the condo, right? It ain't big. That's it. So, you know, Godspeed, welcome home. So is it worth it, right? There's, as I said, your parking. You're going to park underneath of that apartment, and there's the front of the house. So let's go back to the floor plan for a moment, right? This is it, right? Living room. That's your living, dining, kitchen. It's 301 square feet. So you have a bathroom, washer, dryer, great. Okay, I've got a closet for stuff and things, but that's it. That's the whole shebang. And so you've got to ask yourself, to get the additional income, right, from this, is it worth whatever this cost to build, right? $500,000, maybe it's less, I don't know. But let's go back. A lot of these things look absolutely awesome from the outside, right? And then what have you got inside? So from here it looks cool, right? Now this garage is for the owner of the actual big house. You've got a door, it leads upstairs, you got 3 windows, it looks pretty good. But man, oh man, is that a tight space. Okay, so the next one here, guys, is 6 Little Hayes Lane. It kind of sounds like the bad guy from Braveheart. Oh, Little Hayes, I'll get you. Okay, so this is a very confusing one. I'm going to go to the map here. Okay, so see Little Hayes Lane. This is right in the heart of Kensington, and it is this big building here. Now you can see we can't actually go down Little Hayes Lane. I guess Google's bot was being lazy that day, but you can see how tall this thing is. This is a 5-story, check this out, okay, 5-level loft-like, it is a, yeah, loft-like, laneway gem, okay, zone commercial residential. It's got 3 units, and it is very difficult for me to comprehend sort of what unit was where. Check this out, okay? You have main, second, third, roof, ground, and then suite. What the hell? Like, how many different levels is this? So, I think ground, living, dining, kitchen, right? And then main, are those connected? And then suite, I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out on our own. I've tried 3 different times now. So let's do this. Let's start here. This is the nicest unit. Okay, look at the size of this fireplace. That's amazing. And I believe we're on, what, the 2nd level now, if I'm not mistaken. So, right, love the original timber here. Love the big picture windows. You can see the CN Tower from here. There are a lot of photos of this unit because it is the best one. And it's also the one that shows, you know, I mean, maybe this is the owner's suite, right? It looks like the other ones might be tenanted. But it's such a confusing layout, and there are a lot of photos here, so let me skip through because this unit has so many. So then you get upstairs, and this here is the master, primary, excuse me, and then over here we have this teeny tiny little other bedroom. Bathroom over there. Right? See? There you go. Reminds me of when I first started in real estate, and the agents I was with who were like, you know, women in their 30s, so old, with a kid, and they said, oh, staged kid's bedroom. I was like, how do you know? They're like, you don't know because you don't have kids. I was like, okay, great, I don't care that much if you're not going to tell me. And they basically said, if you don't have a glider chair or a rocker and a change table and you just have a crib, that's the way to tell. And now I know because I'm that guy. So here's your bathroom, and then we'll go up to the rooftop, which is super cool, although there are naked women on there, which is obviously terrible. And then you've got this really nice outdoor space with a hot tub, and you can see the CN Tower. My lover and I eat spiced meats in the hot tub. Sorry, I was thinking out loud. I think that's from Saturday Night Live. Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry, I believe. Interesting. Oh, those were the days. I haven't watched that show in 15 years. So that's the best suite. And then you've got, okay, this one here, which isn't bad, right? But it's kind of tough. Like, you've got a fridge here, and then you go down, and then, right, you've got the kitchen, right? Or sorry, is this the same unit? No, this makes no sense, right? This is where I get really confused, guys. I'm not going to lie. I've yet to figure it out. There's your kitchen and basement, and I don't get it. So your guess is as good as mine. But it's 3 units. I went over this a few different times. I still can't tell. That is Little Hayes Lane, right? 1, 2, 3 buzzers. Take it from me. You don't need to try to figure out the layout there. We want to move on. So, oh, that's a better picture. I don't know why I went to Google Maps. So it's an interesting one. I don't know. Maybe the other unit is in there, right? Interesting one. $2 million. I'm not going to pretend like I have any idea what this thing is worth. Let's just take a look at the address history so we can see, among other things, do Laneway houses or houses with Laneway units sell easily? And at the end, I'll show you one that kind of where I started this whole idea that they're kind of hit or miss. So someone bought it for $1,850,000 in 2021, and then they put it up for 2.2, and now they're at 1,999. So how much meat is left on that bone, so to speak. Okay, so the next one, guys, is 54 Croft. Now this is actually a Laneway property. Look, 27.76 by 44. It is detached. This is sort of like severed, if you will, off of probably an existing piece of property, right? Someone cut their garage off, let's say. Paul Johnson, Unique Urban Homes. That's pretty good, whoever's doing his SEO. So Paul Johnson is a guy that has like the best listings, and they are Unique Urban Homes. Like I've never seen this guy list like a crappy condo at 219 Fort York. So it's like he puts out a listing, you're like, of course it's 54 Croft. This thing's beautiful. But I think it's, whoa, sorry to interrupt myself. Fleming Realty Inc. brokerage? Is this a joke? Did that just happen? There's a Fleming Realty Inc. brokerage? Note to self, because I'll forget this. Look that up. Okay, so there's Paul Johnson, Unique Urban Homes. Here is a property that we are looking at, 54 Croft. So this thing is super cool. I might have done this in a Pick 5, probably not, maybe so. Look at the size of this thing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 levels. And then next door, you've got some crappy little garage. That's the funny part about Laneway houses. This here feels kind of like, I don't know, California style, right? Like, not that I've been in a long time. It's just got a weird vibe to it. Not weird bad, but like just such a different style of housing, because Toronto, I wouldn't say it's boring, but you kind of just sort of get used to it, and you travel around the world. I haven't done that since I was younger, but man, there are places that are just so different than what we've got here. If you're born and raised in Toronto, you've never been out of the city, and you're just walking down up the streets of Leaside or Lawrence Park or Little Italy or whatever, the houses are just all laid out, and it seems like everyone in the world has this big detached house. Then you get things like this, and it is so incredibly different. Really, really nice spot. Wood burning fireplace is cool. This is on the top level here, right? Rooftop, why not? CN Tower view. What else is new? Looks like a little hot tub action here. Master, primary. I think I have done this one, not gonna lie. This has been up for a while, as you can see. Yeah, I think I've done this. But I've never done one on Laneway houses before. I might have done Unique houses or something like that. I just had this idea, and it's so hard to actually find 5 Laneway houses or 5 properties that have Laneway units. That is a sad little shower. So, who's the buyer for this, right? So this thing's been up for a while. Okay, let's go to listing history. It reminds me that, yes, I've probably put this in a Pick 5. And, 3.25, right, in 2021. Who knows? Try the market. And 2.995 in 2022. 2.995 again in 2023. And now 2.385. 2.385, huh? No offer date, right? It's tenanted. So started at 3.2. Now 3.285. It's an $850,000 difference, right? From where you thought you were. The market's probably moved up since then. So again, I go back to like who's buying it. It's somebody that's looking for something super unique. So to typecast, right? Is this a crypto kid, right? Is this proverbial artist, right? Because for 2.385, you can get a traditional house. What would make someone want something like this? Somebody that wants different. The next one here, guys, 450 Roxton. This sold. That's interesting. I pulled these last week, so this must have just sold. But great example. It's showing you that they do move. So this has 2 units and then a 1,203 square foot, let's scroll down here, 1,203 square foot Laneway house. So that's wild because the first property we saw had a 300 square foot Laneway house. Oh, wow. So what is this? Photo not available. That's not helpful. So let's start with the Laneway house this time. There we go. Now they're all available. Or let's start with the floor plans. So here you go. Living, kitchen, dining. Second floor, bedroom, 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 and then basement, rec, and gym. So that's it. It's one big house. Other floor plan here, laneway, main floor, living, dining, laneway upstairs, primary, bed, and office. Call that a 3-bed, if you will. 1,200 square feet. That is wild when you think about the one that we saw the first time that was 300 square feet. So this is the laneway house. I want to start with this one, right? We're saving the laneway houses for last. Why are we doing that? The whole feature is laneway houses. So I like the architecture for sure. I love these big windows with the black frames. We're looking out over garages, which one day may be other laneway houses. Right? What would this be worth on its own? See this right here? Let's say this is your house. Let's say it's a detached house. This is your living, dining, kitchen. You have no parking, for argument's sake. And then upstairs you've got 2-bed plus an office. I don't know, it's got to be $1.2 million, right? Look at it. It's pretty sweet. So they did a great job, right? And you know, what did this cost to build? So if this costs $600,000 to build, and I'm saying on its own it'd be $1.2 million, that sounds great. But what's it worth in the context of this overall property? This property sold for $3.7 million. And so I was talking to somebody a while back. A guy runs a website, Laneway Housing Advisors, I believe, used to be a reader of the blog. And he was saying no one's really challenged the market yet in terms of what a 2-dwelling property is worth. If you've got one piece of land and there's a traditional house in the front and then you got a massive laneway house in the back, how do you value those two houses together being sold together? More to the point, how does the bank provide financing for that? How do they know what it's worth? It's never happened before. And that was what was so unique when you saw the first couple of laneway houses start selling somewhere around 2021. So this is the main house now, right? We're going in reverse, which is kind of neat. We're up on the roof. It's an awesome spot. It's a huge house. Yeah, and I wonder who's paying 3.7 to own 2 houses on one lot. I keep going back to that. I'm really stuck on that, guys, honestly. Because if I'm being honest, I wouldn't want a laneway house in my property. I don't want a second dwelling on my property. And so I think it takes a well-traveled buyer, let's say, who's been around the world, seen a lot of different housing types, or it takes a buyer that has a reason and a use for that second unit. Maybe it's, you know, look, you can see it from here. Maybe this is where grandma and grandpa live and we're all living together in the same piece of property, but you sure better have the 3.7 million in scratch to acquire that. So again, we'll take a look at the listing history and see, are these things easy to move? Hey, this one sold the first time around, right? 3.7 on 3849, and see this here? Was only on the market for 5 weeks. I say only, right? Okay, so the last one, guys, is perhaps the most unique. 44 Foxley. It's a 15-foot semi. A 15-foot semi. And it's 5.6 million. It's a 15-foot semi. 5-bed, 8-bath, and 2 kitchen plus 1. It's a laneway house. So it is exceptionally unique. But did I mention it's a 15-foot wide semi? This one I am keeping an eye on. So you can see here, right? They've got a separate entrance for the front. It's beautiful. And the curves, right? Like, you don't get that in a typical house. It's very hard to work with. But like, that's pretty narrow, right? Wine fridge here. It's like really, really finished. You might say over finished if you want to, right? There's a laneway house. It kind of feels like a museum in a way, right? With these rounded stairways. So again, I go back to this and I'm like, all right, so you got 5.6 million bucks. You could buy a 50 by 150 5-bed, 6-bath in Rosedale. Are you buying a 3-unit dwelling on a 15-foot lot that's semi-detached on Foxley? So I still remain, this is so cool. Look at these arches here, right? That's really neat. Kudos to the builder, because you just don't see that. But I think these people probably put a ton of money into this, right? This here. And you're not always going to get it out. You've got to find a very, very unique buyer for this. And, you know, like, great architecture, right? But what is this space out here? You've got a little sink here, which, you know, probably a fridge in here. Tom Ford book, oh, staging. You know, but what are you doing out here? You're not partying. Now we're going up. Now we're going down. Okay. Is that the hydrometer? It's nice. So there's a sink across from the bed. Okay. The photos are making me dizzy, that's for sure. I mean, this is super, super unique. Okay, Laneway house. Hello, here we go. Right? More of the same. More of the cool architecture. A lot of staging dollars in this thing. Wow. So if that's your stove, where's the vent? Is it ventless? I.e. I don't have one. Okay, fridge hidden. Is that a dishwasher? Maybe. But that's a stove, so I don't know. There's no, unless that's something there. I'm not fussed about that sort of thing. We've never turned our vent on because our dog barks, of course. But I was selling a condo, and they had this beautiful center island. And the big critique was, how come there's no vent above here? I just expect in a house of this caliber you might have one. So that's your Laneway house off the back. It's interesting, right? Very, 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 very interesting. Yeah, seriously. I can't get over that it's 15 feet and a semi, and it's $5.6 million. So good on these agents for taking this, for staging it, representing it. Ultimately, the market is going to decide what this is worth or isn't. But we've done this before in Pick 5. Themes like, what else can I get at that price point? You got $5.6 million. There's a lot of real estate I could show you. So there you go. Laneway. There's one listing I wanted to show you. So I work around the corner from Leaside, and I drove by this a lot. This came out for $4.2 million, and I couldn't get over. Okay, it's a 30 by 120, but they built it to kind of feel like it's a 36. And stop me if I've done this in a Pick 5 before, but it was sort of like, I remember thinking like, okay, you're standing in your kitchen here and you're staring at this. Who wants that? It's a Laneway house. It's the first house in Leaside I've seen with a Laneway house. And I just thought, no, this is never going to move. This is never going to move. Now, the Laneway house itself, right? Okay, cool. You can park your car here. You live in this big house here. Sure, park your car here. And here's the Laneway house. But the Leaside buyer, I mean, you've got to walk out from your basement, which cuts the backyard. Then you've just got this tiny little yard, and then you've got your AC unit here. Like, who's the buyer? Who's the buyer that wants that Laneway house? Here it is. You're not doing it for rent, right? And sort of like, well, why else would you do it? So let's say you've got $4.2 million. Are you renting out your Laneway house for $1,800 to help with the mortgage? And that's where this mindset kind of started. So again, look, we have a housing crisis in this city, and I'm the cynic that's going, yeah, and we're going to solve that by building Laneway houses. I'm a realist. I don't pull my punches. I tell the truth. It's crazy to think that adding one Laneway house on a garage one at a time is going to help the housing crisis. But then if I'm being honest, people in $4.2 million houses don't want Laneway houses, specifically here. Now, this did eventually sell for $3.885, right? Listed for $4.2. So from the developer standpoint there, I think usually you overprice, and they're $315,000 below their initial ask, and it took 6 months. But a 30 by 120 for $3.885, I mean, that's a lot. But I still, for the life of me, guys, I can't get over the idea, I'm going to go back to that photo, that you're standing here in your kitchen and you're staring at this wall. It's just weird to me. Anyways, I don't want to leave it on a negative note. I think Laneway houses are definitely cool. This one on Foxley is very cool. But again, the honest side of me is like, who's dropping 5.6 for a 15-foot, semi-detached? I think it's somebody that has a crazy amount of money that isn't concerned about what other people would do. And they're like, I want something cool, I want something different, and maybe it's that. Maybe it's not, maybe it's better. But those are Laneway houses. So for all of you that actually made it this far, the next time you read an article about Laneway houses, or you hear someone talking about Laneway houses, or you're out looking at real estate, and then you get this report that someone paid for, and it says, Laneway house potential. Now you can actually think to yourself, would I spend $600,000 of cash that I may or may not have, that I cannot finance through a bank, to build a house in my backyard that I will then rent for $2,000 a month? How many months do I have to rent it for? So I don't know, guys. Honestly, I remain unconvinced. I think there are a lot of people that absolutely love the idea of Laneway houses. As I mentioned, I had a client that put so much money and time and effort and energy and her heart into this project way before Laneway houses were even a thing. And then sometimes I just get frustrated by the idea that articles show up. Are we going to solve the housing crisis by building one property at a time? And I'm like, come on, guys. And it's so hard to finance. And I just think that Leaside house, who wants to buy that with the Laneway in their backyard? But I'm a cynic, right? Cynics say things like, great, once we're done apple picking at one farm, we can go get pumpkins at another. True story. And pumpkins aren't exactly cheap these days. There's nothing quite like spending $100 on pumpkins that you are going to carve with a knife and then throw out 3 days later. I cannot believe it's September turning to October. I like the time. It's fun. And plus, all these cool dads I get to hang out with now, it seems like they have a very vibrant social life compared to me. When I told them I went to bed at 11:30, they kind of laughed. My feelings weren't hurt. Much. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Happy apple picking and pumpkin carving. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.